Hello everyone, so today we are actually going to be talking about Universal versus Merlin Entertainment. So as we know, just a little backstory on the Universal site, which hopefully we're going to be getting in the UK. So they're saying it's going to be built and open before 2031. So it is going to be in Bedford, Kempston, Hardwick. So many connecting roads to it. They're on about doing the train station, so they can get people from the airport quickly over to there. So they really are actually thinking about doing this. They recently also did a trademark for the Universal name. They have purchased the 476 acre land, also known as the field, if you know what I'm on about, the field. So we know that is actually happening. So what domino effect does this actually have on Merlin Entertainment? What are they going to do to compete with Universal? Because obviously, as we know, Universal is like up here with theme parks. They offer amazing food, travel from miles away to get to their parks. As we see, like Orlando, people go to Florida all the time just to go to Universal, and obviously Disney, but Disney's for another day, because obviously that's probably never going to happen, because we have one in France. What are Merlin Entertainments actually going to do to compete with this? Because as we know, Merlin have... We're just going to take Alton Towers here, just because it's what I know. This is basically what this channel is about, Alton Towers, because that is the one I always go to, yada, yada, yada. So, in terms of Alton Towers versus what will be Universal. So, obviously, Alton Towers for a start. I mean, this is just sort of... I will get on to the other theme parks, but we're just going to take Alton Towers example. So, Alton Towers is obviously a very big park, 550 acres. So we compare this to the Universal that's coming up. So there's about 60 acres in the leeway. So obviously Alton Towers is still going to be the biggest park in the UK. But if we actually look at Alton Towers versus Universal, just to put these two together, Alton Towers is full of towers and the gardens. So at the end of the day, with the actual theme park and the areas and everything else, actually Universal will have more space, because Alton Towers is full of grade 2 or even 1, I'm pretty sure, graded areas and buildings and everything that they can't actually do any building on. As we know with Alton Towers, they did want to build the Cross Valley roller coaster, which was going to be a wooden roller coaster, which John Wardley did actually design, but that got turned down because it went through the gardens. So that just shows that, yes, Alton Towers, like, on paper is the biggest theme park in the UK, but in essence Universal will be, because they can actually build wherever they want, put as many coasters, hopefully loads of flat rides, which I guess is another point within itself, but they can do so much more than what anyone else can do. The Universal are going to do a lot more than what Alton Towers can do with their space, because obviously we know it's not built on such a ground that is going to be an issue. But another point I'd like to make with Merlin versus Universal. So as we know, the food at Alton Towers is absolutely terrible. I have spoke about this before, but obviously they have the better food. And if we look at Alton Towers, they have the Aramark food, which we know is actually prison food. So in that sense as well, it really entices people to go to Universal over any of the Merlin parks, because Merlin just like to, you know, really have the expensive food that is terrible, that costs over like £15 for a burger and chips and, you know, drink. And in Universal, it is more focused on the themed experience with the themed restaurants, the beautiful food that is actually themed into the area, which we need more everywhere else. I don't know why they don't do this. Like, honestly, imagine, right, this is just hypothetical. If I was actually like the Merlin Entertainments, if I could pick what was going on. Imagine if at Alton Towers, right in Forbidden Valley, we had, instead of the roller coaster restaurant, which I guess is quite a cool concept, but doesn't really play out very well, I don't think. You know, it comes down on the roller coaster, you get really small portions. I just don't think it's really anything to really go for, because it's just like you're paying for it to come down on this roller coaster that doesn't really do a lot. I mean, I guess it is called in a theme park, but we've seen the one at Europa Park that looks 10 times better. It's on 2 floors and it's much more themed than the one at Roller Coaster Restaurant. I don't know, it just seems a bit corporate, a bit non-themed to the area. But could we all just imagine here the Phalanx facility, like you could theme it into Nemesis, obviously. Oh, it'd just be amazing. Like, the waiters could be dressed up as Phalanx. It could all be like actual prison food. Oh my god, that would be funny actually. But you know, that sort of theme, than just the roller coaster restaurant that's just the gimmick because it comes down on a roller coaster. Just, it could be amazing. They could do like pizzas that have like the vein effect. I don't know, like anything is better than what they do. Anything in the world is better than Aramark. And as we've seen as well, the domino effect is occurring already, because their prices have already gone up and up and up, and then guess what? Guest spending has gone down. So take all that into account. No one is actually spending the money in Merlin attractions anymore, because you just can't. £12 for a horrible looking cheeseburger with fries and a drink. And then the pictures on the actual ordering machine look terrible. I mean, I have been through this before, but I just don't know what they're doing. Like, surely you should just, you know, be better. Then people start spending money. Don't overprice it so much, because I always think about this. I mean, obviously, because they've got Aramark in, Aramark actually, they price the food themselves, so they can like price it however they want. Merlin doesn't actually have a say in this. So they've got prison food. They're charging so much money for the said prison food. But why? Why are Merlin letting them do that? Basically taking advantage of people doing that when they could have their own food in. We all know why. Everyone knows why. It's because they're just money hungry, and that's all it is. They're just greedy. So if they actually put some love and care into the food at all these theme parks, the guest spending would go like this, because people want a proper sit-down experience, not just chicken. Just Chicken is one of the worst restaurants I've ever been to myself. You know, not just chicken, just better food. That's just something that really annoys me about the parks, because the food is just some of the worst food you'll ever have, and you pay such a premium price for it. I mean, obviously you're going to pay more because it isn't a theme park, but they said, like, I watched Theme Park Worldwide last night, and they said that a hot dog with drinks and fries was over £17 for a meal, because they don't sell it as a meal anymore, and that used to be £9. Like, obviously guest spending's going to be down. Who wants to pay that? We're in a cost of living crisis. You've got to pay to get in, you've got to pay to get there, you've got to do that and do this. So this is why I'm really feeling that Merlin are going to have this giant downfall. We actually have a look at Merlin as, you know, a bigger picture, as well as we know they are actually looking at getting rid of the sea lives. So in essence, that is a good idea for them, because obviously it's a business, they want to make the most money that they can. But as well, on our end, we've just lost, if it actually does happen, we have just lost so much for our passes, our Merlin passes, because, you know, we go to places with sea lives that are not going to be there anymore. So if you're going to rise up the Merlin pass like it always does, because it was £15 and now it's £17, we do pay monthly for the gold, They're raising up prices, but they're taking down the attractions, and that is not fair. So when Universal comes in and they've actually built the park, people are probably going to swap the Merlin pass out with that, because I probably definitely will. Because at the end of the day, if I'm going to spend my money, I want to spend it on something that has quality over quantity, because they just seem to not do that at all. They just want to make the most money out of absolutely everything. They don't look after any of their rides. Like, obviously, in the maintenance sense, of course they do. Of course they look after their rides like that, because it's law, but the actual parts that are not law, like the cosmetic side of it, they don't look after. As well, recently I watched the Paulton's Park close season video. They showed what they did every single year as their maintenance. Obviously they did the maintenance on the rides, we don't need to say that, it's obvious, but they also pressure wash it every year. The whole of Peppa Pig World gets an entire repaint. They really, really, really look after their park. And what do we get from Merlin? Like, if you're lucky, there was, like, paint one ride. In their entire list of rides, they'll paint, like, one. Or they'll pressure wash one. We don't get that sort of love from Merlin, and we spend all this money, and then we go somewhere and we look at the rides and it just looks really tired. And surely all that money that Merlin are getting from us, every month, every year from the Merlin passes even, and obviously all that food that's so overpriced, and ticket prices, that, you know, there are so many avenues they make money from, the merchandise. Really, out of all this money that they get, surely they could look after their park more, because at the end of the day, Paulton's Park is just a little park. They're not Merlin. They're just their own park. They are a small, I would say like a family-run business, but why can't we have the love that they get? On Merlin, you really need to step the game up, because if you don't step your game up, you are going to be out. Nobody's going to come to your parks, because we're all going to Universal. Who else is coming to Universal? Because I definitely am over that. It's so not fair what we get for paying all that money and then having to go in and spend so much money on food, on something that is terrible. I'm sorry, Merlin, but I just think you're going down the drain soon. I think Universal are definitely going to win this fight, and I think they know that, so Merlin are going to be, like, shaking in the boots. We see they trademarked Universal. They've bought the land. We're just waiting on the actual government side of it all, which they seem to be like they are wanting this to happen, because it's going to bring so much money in our country. So they are looking like they're going to back it, but we are obviously just waiting for the actual thing to come through, Merlin, but I think that's when you got to say goodbye. I just really hope that some good comes out of this, and, you know, they're going to lose money. I mean, I guess it's sort of horrible to say I want your whole business to fail. I guess I'm not saying that, but I just want someone else to come in, especially to my Alton Towers. I love Alton Towers. It's my happy place. It's where I always want to go. With Merlin running it, it just seems to be that they're just making awful decisions all the time. So I really want someone to take it on who has the heart for it. And now this is the reason why I've set up a GoFundMe page. Why don't we all put some money in and buy it? This is a joke, by the way. Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. That is the sort of thing people say, though, but yeah. I mean, that would be great. Could you imagine if we all like owned Alton Towers? How great that'd be. We really know what we're talking about. Like, the enthusiast community could really have a say in that. Like, £1 billion, please, to buy Alton Towers. You could just put in £1. I don't think, definitely not. There's a link in the description. I'm joking, I really am. But you see what I mean? Like, people that actually love Alton Towers. Like, if I had the money, I would. But obviously I don't. If I could get it on Kalana. But no, I just really hope somebody please buy it who loves the place, who has that passion and not the greed for money all the time. We just need that investment in the actual parks, guys. We don't care about that. Just, you know, theme up some rides, because I just feel like they're obviously their newest thing that they've done in the park is Toxicator. I'm just not a big fan of that already. I just don't know. It just doesn't fit into the area. I mean, it's good, obviously, that we're getting that flat ride in. I'm not saying that, but we do need more filler rides. But you took out 2 rides to put 1 ride in. Them other 2 rides were family rides as well. Now you put thrill ride in, which obviously, yeah, great, fantastic. Get away with the family stuff. But, you know, you've taken out 2 filler rides to put 1 in, and it's not really going to help. We need more than that. And I hope they know that, because Alton Towers is really, really lacking. I mean, when you look at like Thorpe Park, how many flat rides they've got, that's insane. They've got so many flat rides. Like, I didn't even realise how many they had. They have loads. I mean, obviously, Thorpe Park is more of a thrill ride area. At the end of the day, yeah, makes sense, but Alton Towers really needs that as well. I mean, if I did make a video of making my own flat rides, which I will tag here if you want to have a look at that, because I did have some ideas for the areas, but the amount of areas we could have with flat rides, I didn't even cover all of them because there's so many. I mean, Enterprise, where that was, Submission, and then the roller disco area underneath the Rita Helix, that also is one. Obviously where the Blade is now. Also have the area where Flavio's Fantastic Fandango was, whatever that is. That area also could hold a flat ride, but we need so much more than what we've got. And there needs to be proper thought out, proper theme to the area, and then I'd be happy. It's becoming awful. It's becoming like a dead zone, because I feel like they just don't know what they're doing, and they don't want to spend the money to make the money, and then they just don't look after anything. I feel like that Universal are just going to kick them, basically. And also, as we know, the entertainments team at Merlin Parks have actually been cut now. And then we look at Universal. What is Universal full of? Shows. Universal has a lot of shows which will probably come to us, like Waterworld. You know, they really are big on the shows. It's going to be a world class theme park at the end of the day. Really good coasters. They're just going to blow Merlin out. They're just going to go. Just so many points that you could compare them to. Like, it's insane. Merlin are just not going to have a good time, are they, soon? That'll be it. And then, I don't know what the future will be. Nobody does. Just hopefully it's not a really bad future. But as we know, there is a new Merlin CEO. The man stepped down and there was a woman in. I don't know what the names. So hopefully now, I mean, we did see a new operations manager at Alton Towers, Bianca. I had high hopes for her, but I just don't really see any good happening from that. Because she said that, oh, I'm just going to sit, you know, and watch the 2023 season and see what goes on, and then I'll make any changes that I need to in the 24 season. And I just feel like we haven't seen any of that. It's just stayed the same. So yeah, we've got a new Merlin CEO. She might have made the decision to cut all the sea lives out. Hopefully we do see a better future with them, but they're just going to have to properly think about it all, because, you know, at the end of the day, Universal, one of the best theme parks, is coming here. So yeah, that's just my little video of, you know, Merlin versus Universal. I just think obviously Universal's going to win, and Merlin already know that, so they're trying to, you know, get it going and get rid of the sea lives to compensate for it, to get some more money in. Because at the end of the day, Universal's a massive company. They have a lot of money. It's almost like Disney coming here, that sort of scale. So it should be very interesting to watch it all fold out, and I cannot wait until it actually gets signed off. I mean, we might be saying this, and then it might not actually be signed off. I'm 100% sure it will be signed off. Like, I'm praying, I'm hoping. I've even signed up to the email that will tell me any updates. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video and the points that I made. So if you wouldn't mind just pressing the subscribe button and the like button, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.